Well, the embrace of violence on the left didn't start yesterday. It's been clearly visible ever since Trump started running for president close to 2 years ago. His campaign rallies, his inauguration, almost every policy action, he's made as president have all been treated as a chance to begin a violent act. What is driving the left's political violence? There's an awful lot of it, and it's worth thinking about. Fox senior political analyst Britt Hume joins us tonight. Britt, you've covered politics for an awful long time. This kind of thing hasn't happened in a while. Is it bigger than it was in the 60s, and where is it going?
Well, it certainly reminds me of the 60s, Tucker, when, you know, the chant of, hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today, was on the lips of demonstrators across the country. We had violence. We had violence in the streets during the, famously during the Democratic Convention in 1968. We had violence on college campuses. We had flags burned. We had this sort of behavior we're seeing now. But I agree with you that not since then have we seen anything on this scale, and I think it is all about basically two things. One is there was unrest in the Democratic Party when Hillary Clinton won the nomination and wrested it from Bernie Sanders. So you had a none-too-happy cadre within the Democratic Party going into the election. But they all believed, I'm sure, that she would win. And while she wasn't their favorite, she was better than the other person whom they thought and think was unthinkable. And he won, and they haven't been able to get over it. This is all, I think, basically about Trump derangement syndrome and the behavior you're seeing, and not just in the demonstrations, but in the rhetoric of well-known people. It's beyond anything I've seen since back in the 60s. It's literally deranged.
But this stuff tends to feed on itself. I mean, just as an argument between people does. As you say things that are increasingly aggressive and crazy, it tends to kind of escalate to the point where you're hitting each other. Is that where we're going? Because nobody seems to be pulling back from this at all on the left.
That's the danger, and of course you have this sort of behavior goes unpunished in many places, particularly on the campuses today. You know, you had Ann Coulter basically unable to speak at Berkeley because there was sure to be a riot. You had the hideous episode up at Middlebury College in Vermont where Charles Murray was basically shouted down by a mob. For which there has been only the mildest sort of punishment going on up there for those students. So we do have, you know, real intolerance. You had Stephen Colbert in this rant last night on his comedy show on CBS, which was just obscenity-studded. It's something, you know, you hear off-color cracks on late-night shows from time to time, but nothing that I've seen was as unrepeatably vulgar as what I heard last night. These are sort of restraints that are being broken through as we go, and it does make you wonder if we're on a slippery slope toward real violence.
Well, it kind of does.
And enduring violence.
So my question is, what about the leaders, such as they are? Chuck Schumer, for example, whom I don't agree with on anything, but I mean, I think he's a loyal American, and he's certainly a smart guy. Why wouldn't he stand up as the senior Democrat in the Senate and say, kind of generally to his people, you're not allowed to block traffic, you can't set things on fire, stop with the violence, this is crazy. Why doesn't he do something like that?
Yeah, let people speak.
Yeah,
exactly. Let people speak, right? Well, the Democrats in Congress that we can see day by day, I think, are trying to get synchronized with the mood in the electorate, which is mutinous. And I think they're looking at the attitudes that they're feeling. They're no doubt hearing from their constituents. They're no doubt hearing from pressure groups on the left and the rest of it that says, don't you dare condone this man and treat him, and what is the one they say, mainstream him, normalize him. Normalize him. Don't you dare pretend that this man isn't some hideous freak. And, you know, so the whole attitude, the whole idea of civility in any respect toward this guy is out the window, which is not to say that, you know, they're personally uncivil to him, but the attitude, this whole idea of resisting, which you heard spoken by none other than Hillary Clinton today, indicating that she is now a member of the resistance. which has been the whole posture of the left since Trump's election, and the Democratic Party is now fully and wholly a part of it.
The resistance is what de Gaulle waged against Vichy. I mean, it's too much. Brit Hume.
Right. Well, yeah, there's a certain romance about that, but I'm not sure it applies here.
Yeah, the stakes are too high. We're not fighting fascism. This is insane, and it's gonna wind up in a really ugly place. Thanks for your perspective. I look forward to it every week. Thank you.
You bet.